Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we're doing a top 5 list. Yeah, a top 5. My top 5 favorite board game mechanics. And when I set out to do this list, I was like, 5 will be plenty. And then I was wrong. I started writing out my favorite mechanics, and I got to about 25, and I realized, wow, I'm going to have to dwindle this down. But I'm keeping it at 5 because I'm stubborn. So let's jump right into it with my number 5. My number 5 is deck building slash bag building slash dice building, I suppose, now with Cubitos involved in the mix. And what deck building is you'll basically be starting with a deck of cards with cards that aren't very powerful or good, and then you'll be slowly adding new cards to that deck through some sort of market that you're going to be buying those and adding those to your deck, and then making your deck more viable as it gets more powerful. Now, bag building is the same thing, except you're pulling chits out of bags, and the chits that are in the bag initially aren't usually very good, and you'll slowly be adding these chits to the bag, and when you're pulling these out at random, it improves your odds by when you're building a better bag. And that is why deck building slash bag building is my number 5 favorite mechanic. Number 4 is hand management. I'm a big fan of card games in general, and surprisingly enough, a lot of card games have hand management. Having a hand of cards and you deciding the best way to proceed and which cards to play in which order. I just like the choices and possibilities that hand management games bring. It's like a little jigsaw of which card should I play in which order so that I can be the most efficient I possibly can. So hand management games are just you deciding how to play your hand of cards, which I just enjoy the puzzle of that. Number 3 is drafting. Drafting is when you get a pool of items that you get to choose one of these items from, and then the items that you don't pick go to other players for them to choose from. It seems like a lot of games nowadays have some kind of drafting in their game, whether it's a small mechanic of it or whether it is the main thing happening in that game. I enjoy that aspect of drafting that is, oh, I want this, but Gary really wants that, so I gotta take that, or else Gary's going to take that and score a bunch of points. So that's kind of where hate drafting comes into place, and I just really enjoy the choices that drafting makes you make. The choices that drafting makes you make. Yeah, sounds right. A few of my favorite drafting games would be It's a Wonderful World or Hadara. The one that might be the most popular still, I might be wrong on that, is Seven Wonders. That kind of brought drafting into the main scene of board games. Moving on to number 2. Number 2 would be worker placement, but more specifically, dice worker placement. And what worker placement is you will get a pool of these workers that you will be placing out on spots. And these are action spots, and you'll take that action as soon as you put your worker out on these spots. And that's where you'll end up blocking or prohibiting other players from going to those spots and taking those specific actions. And what dice worker placement is dice are actually your workers. So usually at the beginning of the round, you'll roll your dice, and then you get to place these dice out onto the board. And most of the time for these dice worker placement games, you'll have to put a 5 on a 5 spot or a 3 on a 3 spot. Or maybe you can put a 3 on this spot, but it won't be as powerful as if you put a 5 or a 6 on that spot. And why I like dice worker placement just a little bit more than worker placement is it's just an ever-changing puzzle that you have to figure out on the go. And I really like that about that. And now, my number 1 favorite mechanic is variable player powers. If a game starts you off some way to have asymmetrical play, I'm really going to be more intrigued by that. And now a game I want to highlight for this specific mechanic is The Voyages of Marco Polo, which happens to be a dice worker placement game as well, so double points for them. Now, in the Voyages of Marco Polo, each player gets a character, and these characters have crazy powerful special abilities, which is amazing. They're all powerful. And what's funny in this game, everybody is jealous of everybody else's character, because you're like, oh, they're overpowered, and then it comes to your turn and everybody's on your turn, oh, he's so overpowered. It's just a lot of fun for that game. And another reason why I like variable player powers is if you're new to a game and you get a character and he specializes in wearing tight pants or something, then you're going to lean into that aspect of a game, and it'll kind of give you a direction. It'll push you into a direction that now you're more involved in the game. Now you're, oh, I'm going to go this way. And that is why I like variable player powers so much. And that will adjourn this meeting. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe to see more content from the board meeting in the future. I think I will be putting out my top 5 least favorite mechanics coming out hopefully soon after this, so look out for that in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day, and take care, everyone.